This is the all-new MX Master 4 from Logitech, the newest in their lineup of MX Master mice. Now, if you clicked on the video, I'm assuming two things about you. One is you already own one of these mice, or you feel like either you need to get one because you've never had one before, and you've just used traditional mice or the Magic Mouse if you're a Mac user. I guess I could be talking a bit more from a Mac user kind of standpoint. I've been a Mac user now for about, I'd say, I don't know, seven years-ish, and I've been using these mice now for about 3 or 4. I made a video on unboxing one about a few years back. So needless to say, I have a bit of experience using these mice. So right now, we're gonna start off with people who have used these mice before. So the thing to know about the build design is there any real changes to the build quality or anything like that? No, not really. I mean, they all basically still look the same. Kind of the first thing that you'll notice about the difference from the MX Master 4 from that of, let's say, the MX Master 3S is that the MX Master 3S or even the MX Master 3 for Mac both kind of had this like silicon, I don't even know what material this is, but that kind of silicon, kind of rubbery vibe going on. The main difference with this one is that they got rid of that design, this kind of rubbery design, and now it's more of this kind of plasticky kind of feel. But I will say this, it feels like a very high quality plastic, or I don't know, people can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about it, but it's like a very good feeling plastic. It doesn't feel like I'm touching like Lego bricks or like protective packaging or something like that. I feel like this plastic definitely feels like smooth and, you know, it's nice to the hand, that kind of thing. I would say that's a big difference. Another big difference too is that before, what we had in this little area where you would click, if you press down there, I don't know what that area is called, but if you would press down in this area, it would move all your windows out. That's kind of what it was used before that. Whereas now, the big difference between the design of these mice and then this new one is that area still exists, but it's been kind of cordoned off as the only area where you have that kind of like rubbery silicon area. And then when you click that, you now get a new function called the haptic wheel. And I have some opinions on the haptic wheel. Well, we'll get into that later, but anyway. So then that's kind of the only area where you still see that kind of similar texture on the whole chassis of the original body of these two mice beforehand, is that you still have that rubbery feel down here. And then the other thing too to know is that that area where you would click, that now is the haptic wheel, has actually moved up to just beneath the left clicker, so that when you hit that is now the area that it goes, you know, like all shoots out and stuff. Just noticing this right now, actually, I would say that the thumb scroll here on these older designs was a bit more recessed, whereas now it's unapologetically, there's no recess, it's just kind of like, it's just there. So in regard to the way everything clicks, so the MX Master 3 was very clicky. It was very clicky. It was a very clicky sounding mouse. So here's like left click, middle click, right click. And then on the MX Master 3S, it is definitely much less clicky. It's more muted. The new one here, it also is kind of quieter as well. It kind of takes from that 3S design. And another thing too, I just realized about the design of the mouse is, and I know I haven't been the best at you know, necessarily cleaning it all the time, so it might look a bit more beat up and stuff. These tended to scratch a lot easier, or like, you know, get dirty a lot easier. And my guess is because this is made out of plastic now, it won't be as much. You won't see as much of those scratches or anything because it's a more durable plastic, is kind of where I'm coming at it from. You do have a bit of a trade-off that, for me at least, when I hold it, I'm like, this is a good feeling mouse. You know, it's like, it's not anything like too crazy. It's just like, it feels fine. So, yeah. Okay, so then now we're gonna just kind of go over what it's like using it while you're like scrolling through stuff. I think the difference between, you know, scrolling between the mice is the exact same, you know, you just... The one thing that I really like about this mouse for people who haven't had it before is I love how you can just scroll and then whew, and then it keeps going. And it'll scroll through a lot of lines really, really fast. So the option that is still present is the idea that you have this little clicker thing so that you can either have, you know, like scrolling that's it's completely like flowy and then there's no individual little tactile clicks, or you can click that again. You can click this again, and then it'll give you that kind of natural scroll feel, which is I prefer to keep that on in my opinion. It literally feels the exact same as the other ones. This whole haptic wheel this whole haptic wheel situation, I don't know. I don't even know how I really feel about it, to be honest with you. Because for example, like you can press play on whatever media you're watching, or you can get it to open a new note, or you can get it to open a bunch of different AIs that you might have or something like that. Lock your computer, open Logi options, screenshot, emoji, and Finder. So my thing about the haptic wheel is that in its current configuration, I don't know, I don't really need it or anything like that. I do like the fact that they tried to introduce haptics to the mouse. I tried to use it in Photoshop or Ableton or Final Cut. I'm already so rooted in my current shortcuts and stuff like that where, you know, I don't really see a need for the haptic wheel, in my opinion, is kind of my feeling on it. I don't really need the haptic wheel. I do like the idea of them introducing haptics because it's nice to be connected with the device that you're using. Like I know on my PS5, I have, you know, the haptics in the controller and, you know, it's cool. But I guess for productivity, I don't know. I mean, you can let me know in the comments if you can think of an example where it's like good to have haptics with whatever media you're creating or consuming, that kind of thing. But for certain aspects where the haptic wheel let you pause something or lock your screen, I mean, if you have, and okay, here's the thing is, you might already have a keyboard where those options are available on the top. I know that I have this Logi MX keys. And then, you know, it's like I have my ability to play, or, you know, like I can hit play, I can fast forward, or I can lock my screen. Like there's already, you know, there's already features like that you can just use anyway. So I wouldn't really see, in my usage, I haven't really adopted the haptic wheel. Maybe I will. I don't know. Maybe you have. And if you have the MX Master 4 mouse and you're kind of watching this video, please let me know if you have figured out like what you want in a haptic wheel and what you've added to your haptic wheel and, you know, like that kind of thing. The performance doesn't really change at all in the actual usage of the mouse or anything like that. Like it all pretty much feels the same if you've had many of these mice before. You know, I think maybe the sensor on the bottom might be a bit faster now, but for productivity use, you're not going to really notice it. You know, we're working on mainly like 60 hertz or even sometimes less. I mean, I know that we might use ProMotion sometimes, like the 120 hertz if you have a Mac, but the actual content you're interacting with is not really going to need or warrant having a much higher sensor. And that's the other thing too, is gamers, I can't speak, anybody who does video games or anything, I can't speak to these mice really to video games. I have just played Minecraft and maybe Fortnite a few times with it. So can't really speak to the video game thing. I will say that, you know, it is a nice feeling mouse and stuff. So if you wanted it for that reason, you know, that's great. And then, because I'm sure the other thing too is if you're a gamer, you're going to buy either maybe a Logitech mouse or maybe some weird designs where it's like, it's literally just the clickers and then that's it. So overall, would I recommend you upgrade to this mouse if you have a previous one? depends on, you know, your specific example. Well, with me, I was just starting to get annoyed at all the scuffs and scrapes that I had, and, you know, like how dirty it was. I mean, I know that for it being dirty, I can just clean it like a normal human. But for the scrapes and stuff, I just think that this plastic is going to hold up more over time. And then I have other computers in my house too that I'll just throw those mice to. But for my main kind of setup, I'm definitely going to stick with this MX Master 4 and then not return it, because I think that it does quite a good job in regards to being durable. For the performance, you're not going to be getting a performance booster, and the haptic wheel I know is a nice addition, but I just don't think if you have one of these mice already, I think the only reason why I'd recommend it to you is if your current one is breaking, you just want a new one because the old one is dirty or something like that. So yeah, now we're gonna move on from people who have had a previous mouse, and now I'm gonna be talking to the people who haven't had one of these mice before, my friends. This is the MX Master 4. As I stated in the beginning, it's the newest addition in the MX Master 4 lineup, and you may have seen these mice before. And then if I'm just going to give you a bit of a brief rundown on, you know, how this one works and stuff like that. So if you've never used one of these things before and you just watched the section that I just talked about, yeah, I'd really recommend this mouse. And if you just skip to this selection, then we'll just kind of do a bit of a run through on this mouse with you. Yeah, so the cool thing about this mouse versus like a Magic Mouse or more of a traditional mouse is that it is much more shaped to kind of go around your hand than the natural way that your hand rests. My problem was I used to own a Magic Mouse for, I don't know, maybe 4 years until I saw these things, and I'm like, you know what, I'll upgrade my mouse. The reason why I upgraded the MX Master 3 mouse was due to, I was having a lot of misclicks, and I don't know if you as a Mac user maybe have this issue, but the problem with that mouse was there wasn't any real divider, and then you would kind of miss clicks and that kind of thing. If you're in the middle of playing Minecraft and, you know, you go to hit right click instead of left click to like kill the skeleton that's about to get you, you know, it'll really mess you up. Can you tell this is coming from a non-gamer or what? But that being said, so that kind of annoyed me that the very little video games I played, unusable for literally any games, in my opinion. I think it was just constantly plagued by those issues. The other thing too, the problem that I have with the Magic Mouse is that, and I know this is a common criticism of it, but I'm going to say it again, is you had to flip the thing upside down to charge it. And the issue with that is, as you know, you can't use it if it's charging. My feeling on that is, you know, I really do like how on this mouse you still, you know, you have the charge port in the front. So that way, if you do need to have it plugged in, you'll be able to use it. And I just also think the other thing too is the Magic Mouse just lacks a lot of the ergonomic features that this mouse has. For example, if you are a creative, particularly I know like I do a lot of video editing with this mouse, so then I love how I can just hit the side button here to do a cut, and you know then I can also, you know, hit backspace or that kind of, just something simple as that saves me from having to go and then do the command. Like it's simple things like that that I think kind of elevate the game of my. And if you're a Mac user, you're probably a creative, is my guess. Like I would say, you know, not all Mac users are creatives, but most creatives are Mac users. Most bear with me. I know that there's probably some of you who are PC creatives, and you know, all the power to you. But yeah, most creatives I would say use Mac, and you know that's why I think that mouse would be a lot better than the Magic Mouse. The other thing too is that let's say you're somebody who just doesn't have a mouse and you're just looking for a really nice mouse, and you just clicked on this video thinking like, I want to get a really nice mouse and everything's going to be awesome and life's going to be cool. So I would say, you know, this mouse is totally worth its price tag, in my opinion. I mean, I know that some people might say because of that sensor or the build quality reduction that they don't feel like it's worth what it once was, but I still think it is really worth its price. If you know you're, let's say you're a young person or like you're in college or something and you don't want to spend 150 or 200 bucks on a mouse, I understand. Just go steal the mouse from your your living room where your computer is, or your parents' office, or whatever, or just go buy a cheap one. That makes sense. But if you do want to elevate your game, if you really do want something that's very nice, has a very good presentation that will help you with productivity, I would recommend this mouse. So yeah, in conclusion, if you are somebody who has had this mouse before, I would say the only real reason why you should get it is because of the fact that maybe the other one is damaged or scuffed, or maybe you want a new shiny thing to play with. That would be it. Is there anything here that elevates the game for you to want to buy it? I don't really think so. If you're somebody who hasn't owned one of these mice before and you're looking for the latest and greatest, I'd recommend going with the MX Master 4. If you want to get a bit of a discount, Prime Day just happened. I'm sure that there's going to be opportunities where you can get maybe one of these mice, for example, could still be in stock, and then you'd be able to get it for a discounted rate. And then in that case, if you're looking at the money side, I'd say try to go look for that, or just get a traditional mouse. But overall, I really do think if you are somebody who does either office work or mainly productive work, creativity work, anything like that, this is a really good option for you to choose in the market of mice. But anyway, that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please consider leaving a like if you enjoyed this video, or consider subscribing if you want to see more kind of this tech product content, usually centered around desk stuff.